So Earhart Seminars Training was creating such powerful changes in people's lives that naturally got criticized. But I went to listen to it it was 2 days, two days trainings in Honolulu. I came out of there and I wrote this book here. It's called 8 Lessons in Military Leadership. And that's my co-pilot there. And that's me there. We're young kids, we're like 25 years old, making $250 a month, flying the gunship there. And so that was one of the first lessons I learned about real life is you got to be careful who you do business with. And just because a guy's a CPA and another guy's got his MBA doesn't mean they're honest people. And that's really one of the hardest things I had to learn is a college degree doesn't mean you're honest. As you know that, I know that, but I know that now. And the whole business went down because Stanley ran off with the money. But the experience was good because I learned a lot. And from there, I just kept stumbling along and went back to real estate, started making my money back there. I paid off my father. It was one of the best lessons I ever had, Vlad. Now, Rich Dad had to declare bankruptcy about 20 years later, and we're a very successful company. It was for the same reason, Vlad. The CFO sued us and took us down. It's really interesting, you know what I mean? It's even though we're successful, it's those guys, the academic guys, the A students who took us down every single time because they don't know how to make money. This guy one was a CPA and one was an MBA, the CEO, and they're a bunch of crooks. So you look on my records, I don't have a personal bankruptcy, but Rich Dad has a bankruptcy against them because our CFO, again, a CPA, took us down. I never invest in stocks. I don't trust the stock. I don't trust the stock market. You can. I'm not saying don't do it. I just don't trust them.
Yeah.
So I like real estate because I'm the investor. I don't need to trust anybody else. So the reason many people fail in life is because they feel a failing. So I was a little student teaching the game. I was teaching from another instructor. And I was just teaching games via games, encouraging people to make mistakes and how to learn from your mistakes. So that was the process. So it wasn't about me getting smarter, making them smarter. It was basically teaching them how to make mistakes and get the principles. Like if you're a baby and you fall down, you learn something. So my biggest lessons was learning from people I thought were smarter than me, like the accountants and the attorneys. And they turned out to be crooks. Do you know what I mean? It was my lesson because I thought like my poor dad was a PhD, I should listen to him, but he was poor. But people listen to poor people, if you know what I mean. And my poor dad lost everything because he ran for lieutenant governor of the state of Hawaii as a Republican. And when he lost the election, the governor fired him, basically saying, you'll never work again. So when my poor dad lost everything, he lost his pension also. And so out of all of these life experiences came Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but it was teaching people how to make mistakes. Success is not easy. And again, it was another lesson, but thank God I had the lessons before that. And it's just been one big experience to keep learning. And I don't invest in the stock market. I am an entrepreneur. I can create my own assets. And the reason I like real estate is I kind of have to do it on my own. I'm not buying there's a thing called REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust.
Right.
See, a lot of people want to get rich. And that was my poor dad. I'll make a lot more money. So you got a high paying job and you kept going back to school, so you get a more high pay. And my rich dad says, no, wealth is measured in time. So if you quit your job, how long can you survive? So the average person, I don't know what the averages are anymore, but the average American cannot survive more than a month before their savings or the bill collectors drag them off to jail or something. So a lot of Americans make a lot of money, but they have no time on their money. They cannot survive. So it's a very important question. It's probably, Vlad, one of the most important questions you can ask, that we should ask the people listening. If you lost your job, let's say you're married, husband and wife and all this stuff, and you lost your income, how long would you survive? And that's wealth. And so that's why today, my wealth will go on for generations, because I have real assets. I thank you for that question, Vlad. It's probably the most important question you could ask me. Wealth is measured in time. Rich is measured in money. If you lose your job, and you stop working, how long will you survive? Because you don't have to lose your job and say, if you stop working, how long would you survive? And for most people, it's the next paycheck.
Yeah.
They're gone. So they might make a lot of money, but they won't survive. So they have money, but they're not wealth. Wealth is measured in time. So if I stop today, my wealth will go on for probably 100-something years. But I'm putting all that, my wife and I putting all back in charities, what's called a CRT, Charitable Remainder Trust. So our wealth can go on for generations. Again, it's the number one thing I learned in the military school, the academy. What's your mission in life? You know, if it's just to make money, why don't you just go be a hooker or something, you know, sell drugs? But I really sincerely, naively maybe, I believe you have a mission, I have a mission, everybody listening has a mission. What does God want you to do? So that's what I'm saying is when I met Buckminster Fuller, his question is, what does God want you to do? And the reason a lot of people don't do it is because they don't know how to make money at it. Does that make sense to you? So they just keep working for somebody, or they keep doing what they do, or they, you know, but they don't ask themselves, what does God want you to do? So when I met Fuller, I said, I think I should teach money. And that was kind of I didn't start doing it immediately, but that's when I started to teach and all this stuff. I started practicing. And a lot of times I worked for free for years, just trying to figure it out. But that's what they teach in the Marine Corps. You know, your mission is more important than the money. So, and that's when I said, oh my God, you know, that's what my rich dad taught me. Asset versus liability. Your house is not an asset. An asset is very simply something that puts money in your pocket. So think about this. So when people, you know, they make some money to buy a house, but if they stop working, that house starts taking money from their pocket. So it's not an asset. You buy a nice car, the car keeps taking money from your pocket. So it's a liability. You have 3 kids, they're definitely liabilities. Do you know what I mean? So it's nothing to do with apartment houses. And so I think he's he got that idea from me. I know that. So anyway, it's more than that. So anyway, so I write a book and I get paid probably several $100,000 a month from my rich dad, poor dad. My book is an asset. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So if I buy a car and I lease it to an Uber driver, it could be an asset. It depends on the cash flow.
Yeah.
So it all depends on the financial statement, income, expense, you know, all that stuff. So it's not anything to do with apartment houses. He's trying to sell you an apartment house. I don't recommend it. Xerox was teaching me. How do you handle rejection? How do you keep your cool? How do you keep pitching? So in my little book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I put an asset is a network marketing. It's assets, liabilities. I said, you build a network marketing building, it's business, it's an asset. And that's good advice for the average person because debt will kill you. But debt is money today. And so when I acquire an asset, I use debt. So what happens, I make money in let's say my business, book sales. At that point, let's say I make $1 million in books. What I have to borrow is like 10 million in debt to buy a property. And because I borrowed the 10 million, I buy a property. And let's say the property is I buy 10 million, it's now $100 million. And all this stuff is the magic called financing. I pay no taxes. Mm-hmm. So the more debt I have and the more property I buy, the less tax I pay. It's called appreciation, depreciation, amortization. If you studied accounting, that's what you would learn. But most of these academic types live debt-free and they own a house they call an asset and they drive their Lexus or their Toyota. They wonder, what's wrong with me? But they never studied money in school. And that's when I realized I better change me. If I want to change the world, change me. And that was a powerful statement because I can blame the world or I could change me. And it was a very empowering self-awareness.
Small ebook, big impact, The Wealth Tree. The only 4 ways that will make you financially free forever. Download it here for free.